Hello, kia ora, I'm Philip Duncan, and thanks for joining us for our Monday weather update recorded on July the 29th. Well, we've got this large area of low pressure that we've been talking about for a number of days now. It is not a storm, but it is going to produce severe weather, and that's due to the high pressure zones to the east and this other one out here to the west to southwest. And between all of these systems, we've got a subtropical airflow from around Fiji coming down over the North Island and into the South Island, and at the same time this other high is dredging up subantarctic airflows. When you put tropical or sort of semi-tropical moisture and push that into something really cold, that produces heavy rain that turns to heavy snow. So a lot of the video is really about those who have got newborn livestock, newborn lambs, newborn calves that are around the South Island in particular, but also the eastern side of the North Island later this week. Otherwise, the North Island in particular is going to be warmer than average for a number of days and not necessarily much in the way of severe weather. So most of the video today is for those of you in the South Island, especially farmers who are worried about just how cold or snowy it's going to be. So this subantarctic airflow meeting with this more subtropical airflow, that is the reason why you're hearing so much chatter about this. This is how it looks at 8 o'clock tonight. The dark blue, that is the rain band coming into the North Island. Rainfall is nothing too major for most places, but there might be some localized heavy falls as it moves down over the North Island. Also pushing into the upper part of the South Island, there are some rain warnings and watches out from Met Service for both islands as this system comes on in. And then you've got this little white area here of snow. So I'm going to animate this. It's a pretty quick animation, but keep an eye on that white area on the South Island as we go through the next 24 hours, and you'll see it really expands as those two systems merge over the South Island. So in 24 hours time, it's raining with a southeasterly around a big part of Canterbury and snowing all along the hills and ranges. We are not expecting snow down to sea level. At this stage, it's looking more like it's going to be above about 300 meters, and the heavy snow stuff mostly above 500 meters. So this really is for a lot of you who are farming in those areas. It is pretty cold, and also lower down. You know, even if you're at sea level and it's 6 degrees, that's not very pleasant for a newborn lamb if it's raining and cold as well. Lambing season really doesn't, it doesn't peak until September, but many of you have already told me that you've had lambs out for a while. So this is something to keep a close eye on. The North Island, as I say, is in a warmer setup. So lunchtime Tuesday, low pressure, nothing too stormy, about 1,000 hectopascals. Here is the big blast coming out in towards Australia. Their temperatures are down. And windy weather also here over the South Island as we go between the high pressure zone to the northeast, the low here, and then this other high. And so windy southeasterlies come in, and that's the problem, the wind chill. So you got low temperatures, we're talking about 0 degree wind chill at lunchtime. So pretty cold if you're along that eastern side at sea level. You go higher up, it's going to be minus something in the middle of the day. So that is why it's a bleak system. But once you get north of that blue line, it is a totally different story. The North Island wondering what all the news is about because it's like 17, 18 degrees and we've got rain and showers moving around. Could be some heavy falls here with that line coming in around the northeastern corner, and I noticed Met Service are talking about that. Look at the temperatures on Tuesday. Pretty mild stuff for the depths of winter for the top of the country and fairly average and normal for many central areas, but your overnight temperatures will be above average. But look at this down in the lower part. So many parts of Southland, Otago in that 4 to 6 degree mark at the warmest part of the day. So that's not very warm, and you put in there the wind chill, like I say, it's going to feel more like you're at 0 and below. So not very warm in the bottom part of the country as that comes on through. By Wednesday, the blue line is moving up. That means the colder airflow out of the Southern Ocean, going around this high, being dredged up and coming in and around past the Chatham Islands and straight on in. Some of you might even have an east to northeasterly. It's going to be a cold one as it comes on through. More snow along the mountains and ranges. The Canterbury Plains, some areas a bit borderline for getting snow. Just keep an eye. The temperature for snow needs to be below 4 degrees with wet weather and usually above minus 3 or 4. If it gets too cold for snow, the sky starts to dry up too much. And then you've got the eastern side of the North Island getting some of this rain as well, and another surge of rain coming back to the top of the country as well. But look, large dry areas in there. It's not bleak and stormy for everyone. And the west coast, mostly dry as that system moves northwards. But it could be a bit cold and windy. Into Thursday, the winds are now easing and the skies are drying out around the South Island. That could mean a few frosts start to develop at night time as those winds ease. But now that colder airflow and the blue line going northwards, not a huge amount of snow, but there will be some snow along the mountains and the ranges along the eastern side there, a little bit for Central Plateau. Good news for the ski fields of the South Island. You're going to get a nice dumping of snow, I think, over the next couple of days. And the low is weakening as it gets pushed further northwards thanks to this high. Look at the temperature departure from normal. This is lunchtime on Thursday. All these areas in blue, you're down here about 5 degrees below where you would average, where the average temperature would be. So that means you're certainly feeling that winter change. But look, the yellow elsewhere means it's a little warmer than usual. So that wind and clouds still keeping temperatures up and above average. So the top half of New Zealand, perhaps not so involved with this whole system coming through. By the end of the week, quite a strong high, powerful one, 1036 coming through. That's very likely to bring in frosts after this weather. Up here, you've still got plenty of showers and cold weather, maybe a few snow flurries, the very tops of those ranges. And then we go into the weekend and the skies dry out quite a bit now around the country as that high pressure zone moves in. Still cold with the wind blowing into the eastern side of the North Island, frosty weather, especially through inland areas, and potentially some coastal parts down around the south. And at the north here is that low pressure zone still around, driving in an east to northeasterly, and that kind of falls apart into Sunday. You've still got this low up here, but it really has fallen apart quite a bit. And by Sunday, pretty much most of the country underneath this area of high pressure, a few showers remaining as that colder airflow starts to pull back down again. So there we go, quite a bit going on. Take a look at our website, keep up to date with the Met Service warnings. All those maps that we've got in our news feed should, at a glance, kind of make sense to you whether or not you're in an area that's got some severe weather risks or not. And remember, just because you may not have something at your place doesn't mean that it's not worthy to talk about. This is a pretty nasty system for newborn lambs and for calves too. So that's the reason why we're talking about it. Hopefully though, you'll get through it fairly unscathed. There might also be a few flight issues and travel issues around the South Island, low cloud, low visibility, and of course that snow falling around some of the alpine passes. That is all from me. We'll see you again on Tuesday with the latest.